Hello, Philip Travis here again. This is Love and Knowledge, the author of Croeso Avide. Well, I got sidetracked, as I usually do. You're going to start noticing this, so I will come back and just continue on in another video like I'm doing here. What I want to get back to from my last video was basically saying in law, when you are, like I said, if you take, in our case, if I took Stephen Harper to court for genocide, or basically not doing his job to make sure that he's doing his best for the people, which he's supposed to, and it's there's a conflict of interest in a lot of what he does, oil, pharmaceuticals, whatever. If I take him to court, you know what, he's not even going to show up. He doesn't have to show up. Why? Because he's a prime minister. He doesn't have to show up. If anybody, he needs to show up. Now, there's already been a reverend, and I forget the guy's name. I should have wrote it down before this, but there is a reverend here in Canada who basically summoned him to court. Also, he summoned the Queen, and he summoned the Pope to court for genocide. Flat out. That they are guilty of it. Because they are aware of what's going on and not doing anything about it, and they're okay with it. But again, getting back to the whole law thing, if I were to take any of these guys to court, or try to, even if they did show up, who's the judge going to take the side of? Me or them? Unless I get him to say, or her, if I get them to say that oath, then maybe I will have a chance. Maybe. But at the end of the day, they're not going to charge the Prime Minister. They're not going to charge the Queen. They're not going to charge the Pope. First off, because most likely their life is going to be in danger afterwards, just like the Reverend's life was when he tried to summon these people to court. He was beaten because of this. Okay? So law right now is not for the better of everybody, which is what the law is supposed to be. It's supposed to benefit every single person, and it's not. These laws are created through words which are completely false anyway. They're basically using, in Canada, at least in the West area, and in the UK, they're using English words and in different ways. Now, I'll say this quickly. I tried to look up the word person in the Black Laws Dictionary. So I bought the Black Laws Dictionary. I flipped to it, the word person, and it said see natural person. So I flipped to natural person, and it said see person. Okay, so I flipped to person, and it says see human. No, it says see human being. I flipped to it. There was no human being. There was actually no human being. There was human rights and a few other things, but there was nothing that stated what that word actually meant in that book. Now, we are supposed to be bound by laws that we cannot understand. We are not supposed to understand these laws. How does that make any sense? Why are we bound to something that we don't understand and we're not supposed to understand? Right? So we go to court. We are given these pieces of paper that have these words on it that somehow we're bound by, but yet we don't understand them. And if we don't do something correctly, we will get charged or thrown in jail. Now, there are roughly 3 laws that are, I'll call them the natural laws. You cannot hurt or kill anybody. You cannot do damage to anybody's property unless you've signed a contract stating that is okay to. So if you're to demolish somebody's house and they give the okay. And you're not supposed to do fraud or any wrongdoing in business and contract. Now let's look at this and look who's breaking these laws on a daily basis. Our own government, man. Our own government. He's lying all the time. He's allowing the death of his people all the time. Not just in the natives, but in people who are dying of cancer and every other disease, quote-unquote disease, that can be cured through the mind or through herbal remedies. So that's what, when, like in my last video, I'm saying this is something that will fade away eventually. Because the only law that you are strictly bound by is a law of the cosmos. We'll call it karma. If you do kill somebody and you don't fulfill your debt, when you die, believe me, you're gonna have a hard time in that. And when you come back, if you do reincarnate, you're gonna have a hard time in that life too, until your debt is repaid. It's not money, it's what you have to go through. And again, I know that for a fact. I've done some bad things. I'm not going to say I'm on here, but I've done some bad things, and I've had to deal with basically my life going around in circles, and I wasn't making it anywhere because I kept doing the same things over and over again, roughly. I'm wondering why I wasn't making headway. Well, now I'm sober. It'll be 2 months at the end of this month of no marijuana or alcohol anymore, and I'm happy about that. Now, if you do drink or smoke, I mean, that's up to you. But for me, I need to be sober so I can make my way through for a spiritual growth. Because that is very important to me. Very important now. So that's that on the law. I started talking about Stephen Harper in the last one and what would happen if I were to take him to court. And then I got sidetracked with other things. So that's what I wanted to say on that. There was something else that I mentioned in a couple of videos ago. Another person who I got my knowledge from, so this is going back a few videos, another person I got my knowledge from was a guy by the name of Aaron McCullum. And for those who have seen the Project Camelot or who paid attention to his Facebook page and his website, pardon me, his websites that he had set up and the interviews that he did, this is another guy who is a quote-unquote super soldier. He's done some pretty gnarly things, and he's fully aware of stargates and all this stuff. So that's another guy who I was trying to remember. Anyone else? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. So anyway, I just wanted to do this video to kind of bring up to speed on some things that I forgot to say in other videos or got sidetracked like I do. So God bless. I love you all very much, and I'll probably post another video here in a bit. Love you.